Morning students. In this session, we are going to revise third lesson, periodic classification of elements. First law, which is given by Anton Lavoisier, he has classified the elements into four groups. One is acid making elements, gas-like elements, metallic elements, earthy elements. In 1789, he has given the elements into four classification: acid-making elements, gas-like elements, metallic elements, earthy elements. In acid-making elements, he has given example as sulfur, phosphorus, these elements. Gas-like elements, oxygen, nitrogen, these type of elements are given under this gas-like elements. In metallic elements, it is given copper, silver, iron. These type of elements are given under this metallic elements. Earthy elements like magnesia, these are given under this. To overcome this, after few years, in 1864, next scientist has given Daubermeier has given the triads as a form of elements, three elements. They are in the form of triads. So triads means three elements are given with similar chemical properties. For example, lithium, sodium, potassium. So these three elements are given as a group. So these three elements are having the same chemical properties, and the same way the atomic weight of middle element is equal to arithmetic mean of the other two elements. So this type of elements are grouped in the form of triads, just given by Daubermeier. Not only these three elements, he has given chlorine, bromine, iodine as the next group. Next is maybe calcium, strontium, barium. So these three elements are in the form of triad. So first one we can verify: lithium, sodium, potassium. Sodium atomic weight is 23, Na is 23. We can check whether this arithmetic mean of other two elements is it equal to 23. So lithium atomic weight is 7 plus potassium atomic weight is 39 divided by 2, which is equal to 46 divided by 2, which is equal to 23. So what is given by Daubermeier, that is correct. Atomic weight of middle element is equal to arithmetic mean of the other two elements. So they are having similar chemical properties. So they are in the form of triads. Next we can see Newland. Next scientist Newland given a law of octaves. Law of octaves. He has explained first element and the eighth element, they are having similar chemical properties. This law of octaves is given the year of 1864. Consider as an example lithium, beryllium, so atomic, it is weight is 7, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Next he has given sodium. So he has given only for the atomic number 40. Calcium, the element up to calcium has given under this law of octaves. That meaning is the first element, every eighth element, first element and the eighth element, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So eighth one is here, okay, sodium, magnesium, like this it will continue. So this first element and eighth element. So next when you continue like this, the next element which is coming here, this also. So they should have the similar chemical properties. So he has arranged these elements in the form of atomic weights. What's the meaning of law of octaves? It is given by Newland. He has given every eighth element, when it is arranged in the increasing order of atomic weights, the first element and eighth element, it should have similar chemical properties. So next it is given by 1868. Next scientist, he has given Mendeleev. He has explained properties of the elements or periodic function of the atomic weights. Properties of elements or in the periodic function of atomic weights. During this period, 70 elements are discovered. So these 70 elements, he has arranged in several columns in order of increasing atomic weights. Mendeleev's classification, how we have seen, so during his period, 70 elements are known. So here he has explained that, so properties of elements or periodic function of atomic weights. So in terms of atomic weights, he has arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic weights. Next we can see Moseley's work. Moseley's work is related with from the X-ray spectrum. He has given how the atomic number of the unknown element can be calculated using the formula root mu is equal to, so he has given the formula root mu is equal to Z into A minus B. So from this formula we can determine this mu is called as frequency of X-rays, A and B is called as constant, Z is called as atomic number. So when this root mu and versus Z, it is giving a straight line. From the straight line we can determine the atomic number of the unknown element. In Moseley's work, 1930, he has given a formula root mu. It is related with the frequency. Mu is called as frequency of X-rays. When the elements are bombarded with the high energy, electrons. It is giving a spectra from the X-ray spectra. Root nu is equal to A into Z minus B. A and B is constant. In this equation, root nu is plotted against Z. It will give a graph of straight line. So from the straight line, we can determine the atomic number of the unknown element. Is it clear? So next we can see modern periodic law. Modern periodic law, it states that properties of the modern periodic law. Modern periodic law states that physical and chemical properties are periodic function of their atomic numbers. Physical and chemical properties or periodic function of their atomic numbers. So this is the law. It is called as modern periodic law. So next we can see modern periodic table. So nearly 118 elements are discovered. So these elements are arranged in the form of a table. It is called as modern periodic table. In modern periodic table, there are 7 horizontal rows are there. So these horizontal rows are called as periods. So totally 7 periods are there in periodic table. And the same way, there are 18 vertical columns are there. So these 18 vertical columns are otherwise called as 18 groups. Have you understand? 7 periods and 18 groups are there in modern periodic table. So in 7 periods, so first period and second period, 1 and 2 periods. The elements present is that first period 2 elements, second period it is 8 elements, and third period also 8 elements, 4 and 5 they are having 18 elements, 6 and 7 they are having 32 and 32 elements. Okay, is it clear? So first period 2 elements, second period and third period they are having 8 elements, fourth period and fifth period they are having 18 elements, sixth and seventh period they are having 32 elements. Next we can see about the groups. When you consider the group, there are totally 18 groups are there. So first group and second group. In groups we can see 18 groups are there. Among that, first group and second group, it is called as S block elements. First group and second group elements, they are called as S block elements. First group they used to call as alkali metals. Second group elements they are called as alkaline earth metals. Alkaline earth metals. Is it clear? So next we can see group 3 to 12. So next set it is given group 13 to 18. So this group 3 to 12. So it is mixed D and F block elements are there. Here in group number 13 to 18, here P block elements. 3 to 12 D block elements. D block elements are otherwise called as transition elements. Why we are calling this as transition elements means D block elements or otherwise called as transition elements. Why we are calling this as transition elements means these elements are placed in between S block and P block elements. So we are calling the D block elements as transition elements. And F block elements are otherwise called as inner transition elements. F block elements are otherwise called as inner transition elements. So in F block elements, they have place. The position of F block elements is not given, but when you have seen the periodic table, so at the end of this, in between this D block elements, as like an arrow, it has given 2 rows at the end. So this end 2 rows are called as F block elements. In F block elements, so first row it is of lanthanides. Second row it is called as actinides. 2 rows of elements are present in F block elements. First one is lanthanides, the next one is actinides. So lanthanides, they are having the classification, having the electronic configuration 4f1 to 14, 5d0 to 1, 6s2. Next is actinides. They are having electronic configuration 5f1 to 14, 6d0 to 2, 7s2. So this is the general electronic configuration of lanthanoids and actinoids. We are seeing how this periodic table, modern periodic table has designed. Modern periodic table has designed in the form of 7 horizontal rows. They are called as periods. Then 18 vertical columns are there. So these are termed as groups. So in the 7 periods, so first period it is having 2 elements, that is hydrogen and helium. Next, second period it starts from lithium and it ends with neon. So like this, third period, fourth period, it is having 4 and 5, totally 18 elements are there. 5 and 6, 6 and 7, they are having total 32 elements. Next, there are 18 groups are in modern periodic table. First group and second group, they are termed as S block elements. The group 1 are called as alkali metal and group 2 elements, they are called as alkaline earth metals. Then group 3 to 12 is placed in between this S block elements and P block elements. So we can call it as transition elements, D block elements, or otherwise termed as transition elements. So in the transition elements, F block elements are called as inner transition elements. They have placed in between the position of D block elements. So we can call it as inner transition elements. Inner transition elements are of 2, lanthanides and actinides. So lanthanides having the electronic configuration of this and actinides, they are having the electronic configuration like this. Then group 13 to 18, it is called as P block elements. The last 18th group, that is noble gases, they are having completely filled electronic configuration. That's electronic configuration of this last 18th group is NS2 NK6. So these are the basic concepts related with this modern periodic table. Next we can see properties of elements, that is we are going to discuss the property. First one, atomic radius. Second one, ionic radius. Third one, ionization enthalpy. And next we can see electron affinity. The last property we are going to see is electronegativity. So students, in this session we are going to discuss about this 5 properties. Atomic radius, these are the periodic variation of these 5 properties, or we are going to discuss. So what are the 5 properties? Atomic radius, ionic radius, ionization enthalpy, electron affinity and electronegativity. So first one, atomic radius. Consider the atom like this as a sphere. Atomic radius we can define like this: is the distance between center of the nucleus and the outermost shell of electron is called as atomic radius. So how we can define this atomic radius? Atomic radius we can define as it's the distance between center of the nucleus and the outermost shell of electron. It is called as atomic radius. Next we can see the term covalent radius. Covalent radius can be defined like this. Consider a molecule in which 2 atoms are covalently bonded like this. If we need to calculate the radius of the atom, consider this atom as A and consider this atom as A. So distance in between this nucleus, it is this distance, that is D. So from here to here, this area is radius of A. And this area to this area, it is called as radius of A. Next here, if we need to calculate the radius of atom, we should know internuclear distance. The nucleus distance between 2 A atoms is referred as internuclear distance. So radius of any atom can be calculated by the half of internuclear distance. Internuclear distance is given by the term DAA divided by 2. So this value will give the radius of the atom. The definition for covalent radius is half of internuclear distance between 2 atoms which are bonded covalently. So here the bond between these two is, it is covalent bond. So we can calculate like this. The problem is asked. The question is internuclear distance of chlorine molecule DClCl is given as 1.98 angstrom. You have to calculate radius of chlorine atom. Calculate radius of chlorine atom. So how we can calculate? We can calculate DClCl is equal to radius of chlorine atom plus the next radius of chlorine atom. So DClCl is equal to 2 or Cl. So from this radius of chlorine we can calculate RCl is equal to DClCl divided by 2. Okay. So from here, this internuclear distance is given in the question 1.98 divided by 2, which is equal to 0.99 angstrom. Is it clear, students? So next we can see ionic radius. First one, atomic radius we have seen. Next we can define ionic radius. As like atomic radius, ionic radius also we can define like this. So consider this as an ion. It may be cation or it may be an anion. So we can define this radius as it is the distance between the nucleus and the distance at which it can exert influence on the electron. It is the distance between these two is called as ionic radius. Ionic radius can be calculated by a method. It is called as Pauling's method. Ionic radius can be calculated by a method. It is called as Pauling's method. So Pauling has calculated the radius of cation or anion by considering example as sodium chloride or KBr. So these crystals, ionic crystal, he has tested. The special nature of these ionic crystals are they are isoelectronic species. Okay. So these crystals NAF. So when you consider this crystal, sodium Na plus and F minus. Sodium atomic number is 11. When you remove the electron, it becomes 10. So here fluorine atomic number is 9. When you add the electron, atomic number getting 10. So total number of electrons, not atomic number, total number of electrons in Na plus and total number of electrons in F minus are equal. So this species is called as isoelectronic species. So when he tested this isoelectronic species, from this he has given some observations, that is the internuclear distance when two ions are in contact with each other. The internuclear distance between the cation and the anion is equal to sum of radius of cation and anion. So this is the first observation which is given by Pauling. What is it? That is internuclear distance between cation and anion is equal to sum of radius of cation and anion. So when you see this electronic configuration of Na plus and F minus, so atomic number 10 is the number of electrons present in neon, isn't it? So if any cation or anion, if they are having the noble gas configuration, from this we can say radius of the cation or anion is inversely proportional to the effective nuclear charge of the cation. The same thing we can write for radius of anion is equal to, so radius of anion is equal to 1 by Z star effective into A minus. Is it clear? From this equation, when you take the ratio of this two, it will be RC plus divided by RA minus equal to Z star effective A minus divided by Z star effective C plus. From this equation, if these values are known, from this we can calculate Z star value. If it is given, from this we can calculate radius of cation or radius of anion. This equation and this equation is useful for calculating the ionic radius. Once again, Pauling has tested the isoelectronic species of Particularly, we can take the example as NaF, Na and F, Na plus and F minus, both are having number of electrons 10. For this type of ionic crystals having isoelectronic species, the distance between the cation, internuclear distance of these two ions is equal to radius of the cation plus radius of anion. If internuclear distance is given and one of the radius is given, means we can rearrange the equation and we can find out the radius of the particular ion. One more thing, for a given noble gas configuration, radius of the ion is inversely proportional to effective nuclear charge of ion, or C plus is proportional to 1 by Z star C plus and or A minus is 1 by Z star A minus. When you take the ratio, it will give the formula like this. From this formula, we can determine the radius of C plus and A minus. The term Z star is called as effective nuclear charge. Z star we can term as effective nuclear charge. Next we can discuss how this Z star value, effective nuclear charge, we can calculate for the elements like scandium, potassium. As an example, first we can see scandium, orthosinus, Slater. Slater rule is used for find out screening constant. Screening constant, how we can define as, consider the atom like this. Here nucleus. Consider these shells. So consider the electrons from the outermost shell. Okay. So usually, so there is some these inner electrons and this outermost electrons, there will be of repulsion. So these inner electrons, they are act as a screen for this attraction of this electron and this nucleus. Okay? So these inner electrons, they are acting as a screen in between nucleus and the electron, so this electron experience less attractive force towards this nucleus. So this type of screening, because of this inner electrons, are called as screening effect. So screening constant, it is given by the simple S. Effective nuclear charge of any ion can be calculated by the formula Z minus S. Here Z is atomic number and S is called as screening constant. Now we are going to calculate. So calculate the screening constant value for scandium element, the last electron, 4s electron. Okay. So 4s, when you are writing the electronic configuration for scandium, scandium is having atomic number 21. So we can write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p1, sorry, 2p6 up to this 10, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d1. So total 21, 10, 10 plus 1, 21. Okay. So for calculating this screening constant, first we have to split this orbital in order of like this. Okay, 1s, 2s 2p, 3s 3p, next 3d 4s, 3s 3p, next 3d and 4s. Sorry, yes. 3d 1 and 4s. It will be taken as 2 electrons are there. We are going to calculate the screening constant for 1 electron. So how we have to take this is, so first this is taken as nth shell and this will be taken as n minus 1 and the further it is taken as n minus 2. So nth shell it is having a contribution of 0.35. N minus 1 cell it is having the contribution of 0.85 and nth shell it should have the contribution of 1. So number of electrons in multiplied by this 0.35. N minus 1 number of electrons multiplied by 0.85 and n minus 2 that is further inside these electrons are multiplied by this 1. And the sum it will give the screening constant value. Then we can substitute this value here and Z atomic number. When you subtract this, you will get the effective nuclear charge of particular atom. Next we can see ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy can be defined as ionization enthalpy consider a metal atom, gaseous atom. When you supply energy, we can remove the electron from this gaseous metal atom, neutral gaseous atom. When this electron is removed, automatically this gaseous neutral atom will be changed as a positive ion. The energy required to remove most loosely bound electron from a neutral gaseous atom is called as ionization enthalpy. Usually, when compared with the first ionization enthalpy, successive ionization enthalpies, second, third, fourth ionization enthalpies, they should get the value more. So, IE1, for example, we can see example as nitrogen and oxygen. For comparison, beryllium and boron. So question they can ask like this: nitrogen or oxygen which is having high ionization enthalpy. How we can calculate? How we can give the explanation is nitrogen atomic number Z is equal to 7. Oxygen atomic number Z is equal to 8. Next, Z is equal to 7, 1s2, 2s2, 2p, it is 3. For Z is equal to 8, 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. When you compare this to electronic configuration, here p orbital with 3 electron, it is half filled. Last shell it is half filled. Half-filled orbitals are more stable than others. So it is stable. When you compare ionization energy of nitrogen and oxygen, because of this stablest form of nitrogen, we have to spend more energy for this removal of electron from this 2p shell, 2p3, isn't it? So it is difficult. So we can say that ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is more than ionization enthalpy of oxygen. Same thing we can explain for beryllium and boron also. Beryllium, its electronic configuration is 1s2 2s2. Boron, its electronic configuration is 1s2 2s2 2p1. Same thing as like that. Here electrons should be removed from beryllium. Z is equal to 4, boron Z is equal to 5. For beryllium, the outermost orbital 2s, it contains 2 electrons. S orbital maximum accommodation 2 electrons. So it is completely filled. If it is completely filled, this is the stable electronic configuration. If the particular atom is having stable electronic configuration, removal of electron from this orbital is it's not easy as compared with boron. So we can say that beryllium is having electronic configuration. Beryllium is having high ionization enthalpy than boron. Next we can define electron affinity. Electron affinity we can define like this. Electron consider a neutral gaseous metal atom. When it accepts the electron, then the gaseous metal atom will be changes M minus and energy will be released. So we can define electron affinity as the amount of energy released when a neutral gaseous atom accepts an electron and forms as an anion. Electron affinity, and next we can define electronegativity. Electronegativity we can define like this. So it's a tendency of a covalently bonded atom. Consider the bond between A and B. This bond contains 2 electrons. So it's the tendency of an atom to attract the shared pair of electrons towards itself. It is called as electronegativity. Now we can see the periodic variation of these 5 properties. First we have seen atomic radius. Next we have seen ionic radius. Next we have seen ionization enthalpy. Next is electron affinity, electronegativity. How these 5 properties all varies in periods and groups we are going to discuss in common. Okay? So consider first atomic radius. Consider this atom. When you move from left to right, for example, type the next is we can see the second period lithium to neon, atomic number 3 to 10, isn't it? So when you are moving from left to right, electrons are added in the same energy level. For example, lithium, its atomic number is 3, 1s2, 2s1, and next one beryllium 1s2, 2s2. Then for boron 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. Next one. When you consider carbon 2p2. Next nitrogen 2p3. So like this, when you consider from left to right, electrons are added in same energy level. So like this, if it is considered this as p orbital. So for first element we have seen boron, first 1 electron. Next we have seen carbon, it is having 2 electrons. So when the electrons are added in same energy level, so there is attraction between this nucleus and this orbital is more. So if this attraction is more, what about the size? Size will be decreases. So atomic radius in period it is decreases, and in group electrons are added in different energy level. When you consider lithium and sodium, lithium atomic number is 3 and sodium is having atomic number 11. Electrons are added in different energy level, so that size of there's less attraction between the valence shell and this nucleus. So size of the radius of the atom also increases. The same case we can explain for this ionic radius also. But when you consider ionization enthalpy, when you move from left to right, already we have seen radius decreases. When the radius decreases, the nuclear attraction between this nucleus and the outermost shell is more. If the attraction is more, removal of electron is difficult. So that we have to supply more energy. In conclusion, we can say ionization enthalpy is increases in periods and decreases in groups. Same thing we can explain for electron affinity. So electron affinity, which is related to the addition of electrons, isn't it? When you consider in periods, that is from left to right, the size is less. So when the size is less, the repulsion between this added electron and this inner shell electrons are more, so that electron affinity increases, and in the case of group, electron affinity decreases. Same thing we can explain for this electronegativity also. The last only 1-2 more question, diagonal relationship. So we can explain like this: lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen. Second period, sodium, magnesium. So when you see like this, aluminium, silicon. When you consider this second period and third period elements, the elements which are placed diagonally, they are having similar chemical properties. So this type of arrangement, it is called as diagonal relationship. What is it? In second period and third period elements, the elements which are placed diagonally, they are having similar chemical properties. So this type of arrangement of elements, that is called as diagonal relationship. So in third lesson, we have seen atomic radius definition, ionic radius calculation by Pauling's method, ionization enthalpy as maybe comparison of two elements, beryllium, boron, which is having high ionization energy, or carbon, nitrogen. So such type of questions we can expect. Electron affinity definition and variation in periods and groups, electronegativity. We have then before that we have seen 2 marks as modern periodic law, Newland's law of octaves. Then what's the meaning of triads? So this questions also we have to concentrate. The last we have some diagonal relationship. Thank you, students.